Sonia Hartel. Sonia Hartel comes from the BioNanoNet in Graz, and she, if I understand correctly, she goes to a different aspect, namely that we do not only have our problems, but we also have to bring it over to a broader public who is not so familiar with all the problems. Please, Sonia, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying here. It was a very interesting but long day, very much information we had to take in, so I'm very glad that you have still some time to listen to my approach. Yes, as I was so gladly introduced, thank you very much. Also, thank you for the organizers for having me. I'm coming from Graz, from BioNanoNet. We are a network organization in Austria combining all expertises in nanotechnology. And with this, we are also involved in different projects, national and EU-wide, and one of these projects is the project Nanodiode. Nanodiode is an EU FP7 project in the focus of nanodialogue and outreach. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to enable the process of co-creation during research and innovation. So lighting a little bit on how can society benefit from nanotechnology. Well, first of all, what is the aim of Nanodiode? We would like to have a closer engagement of stakeholders in the nanotechnology governments. This means that we would like to enhance the level of engagement of both the experts and the non-experts to, well, steer the nanotechnology development in the correct direction, to also get in the opinions of non-experts on the way nanotechnology could develop in the future, and to take this into consideration and steer also the policy, the research, and also the industry level in the correct way. And we would like to increase the clarity of the role of stakeholders, so the role of the public authorities, the role of the researcher, the role of the ethics people, the role of the public. What is their role in nanotechnology? How can they all work together to have a really beneficial outcome for everybody? Of course, we know in the project that we cannot define the need of outreach and dialogue, and we cannot address all needs because that would be way too many. And the needs vary within the different stakeholders. What we will also not be possible, we will not be able to engage every EU citizen. That's of course not possible either. And we will also not promote the acceptance of nanotechnology. So we are not here to sell something, we are really here to discuss the acceptability of nanotechnology, research and innovation amongst the broad public. And how are we going to do that? That's the nice word. We are going to enable the process of co-creation. And with co-creation, we really mean an open discussion within two parties, within on the one hand, the public, and on the other hand, the stakeholders like industry, researchers, and policymakers. And we are following this approach by a three-way system. It's the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream engagement. So first of all, we're starting with the upstream engagement, where we bring together the stakeholders with the policymakers. So we are going to discuss in which direction should we steer future funding of nanotechnology, in which direction should we steer policy making. Then next we're going into the midstream engagement, where we engage researchers with the society before any research is being transferred into market. So before the research can really be transferred into a product. So we are going to have discussions between researchers and policymakers with the public on what they expect from research and what then can be made available on the market. And last but not least, on the downstream, we're really going to talk to the producers on how can we help them to beneficially present their nano products on the market to increase acceptance and the knowledge. Well, what we have experienced is that there is currently a decrease in the confidence in governments and in industry institutions, and that's why it is very important to start with the upstream and midstream engagement. And second, it is very important that researchers are involved in this midstream engagements and with the stakeholders to have a mutual level of understanding of critical assessment. So how are we going to do this in Nanodiode project? We have 4 building blocks. It's the inspiring building blocks, where we're going to inspire everybody. We are having the creation building block, where we are going to create beautiful things. And we have the educational building block, where we are going also to educate people on what is nanotechnology. We will start here also with very young kids, where we have workshops. And we have the engage building block, where we very creatively try to engage the people in nanotechnologies. Well, first of all, the abstinent engagement and dialogue at the level of research and policy. So what we are going to do is we are going to have different approaches. First of all, we started with a survey on the citizens' view of the priorities for nanotech innovations. We are now currently at the moment evaluating the results of the interviews. We're going to also cross-check the interview results with experts and then present the current view of the citizens on nanotechnology development, also to present this later on to the policy developers. We have a school kids and students competition on innovative nano ideas, so where we ask the school kids to really think, what is your opinion on nanotechnology? What could you think what nanotechnology could be beneficial for? Here, for example, we presented carbon nanotubes as the smallest heating devices. So we are asking the children, what could you think if you can use such a small carbon nanotube within your daily life? Maybe you can put it into your t-shirt and it will keep you warm during the winter. And last but not least, we will have a multi-stakeholder dialogues on how nanotechnologies can address societal and ethical challenges. And why I'm also here today, or what is my focus of my today's speak, is the creation building block, where we have third generation deliberative processes, where researchers and different stakeholders can discuss and select fields of applications for nanotechnology innovation. And most importantly, what I want to highlight here is the user committees, where we're really trying to bring together the stakeholders, like the researchers in the industry, with the public, to have one-level discussion on a table, really to exchange experience, so that the people can ask what do you think about the future of nanotechnology. They can ask questions about risks. They can tell them what are they afraid of, what would they like to have on nanotechnology. And that's what these workshops will be in the output later on. And last, the regulatory research workshops are discussing a sensible way forward for risk assessment. So the user committees are really going to enable knowledge transfer and trying to engage the participation in innovation processes and to resolve possible barriers. We're going to set it up as a workshop, as I told before, with a small group, like 20 people, 20 to 30 people. And we are going to introduce the research. We are going to identify the social context, so the user's response. And we are going to discuss it. We identify barriers and drivers. And we're going to advise the project or the product on what is the next step to do, what is the next planning for the next year. And that's why we also have a follow-up evaluation of actions taken and how these actions have affect in a positive way, or maybe in a negative way, the project results. You are most welcome to join these user committees. There are different topics addressed in different countries. I'm here to represent the Austrian user committee, which is going to be on nanomedicine and how can society benefit from nanotechnology. But of course, if you are interested in taking part in another country, you can always have a look here and contact me. I will forward then your questions. Yes, and as I said before, we're going to educate, so we are going to have workshops with school children. We will also have a capacity training course or capacity or community of practice to bring together experts and trade unionists to create a living workers-oriented capacity building model in order to increase the workers' health when dealing with nanotechnology. And the very creative output of nanodiode is going to be in the engagement building block, where we have outreach and communication activities, like we are building board games. We are having a nano bazaar, which is a pop-up store within a park where we just pop up a tent, invite researchers and invite people from the street in to talk about what they think is nanotechnology, what nanotechnology could bring for them. They can discuss them with the researcher directly and have little experiments and stuff like that. And of course, we are also very available and visible on the social media like Facebook and Twitter. Well, the questions raised with a nanodiode, what nanodiode thinks is the overall message in nanotechnology. Can I really trust the use of products and objects manufactured by nanotechnology? So we're taking these questions to the public, to the research, to all the stakeholders, trying to answer it. And we're going to, address this by risk communication that has to be, well, a generally two-way process with stakeholders and the citizens. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention. If you have any further questions, you have now the time, or I'm also available at the University Village at the Austrian stand.
Thank you very much. I think that you raised an extremely important topic. If we think back of the lessons we learned with GMs and with nuclear energy, and our ancestors learned with the railway, which means that the general public, the uninformed public, is critical against everything and does not help at all to develop it. And you really take the initiative to bring it out and to foster the understanding in the public. So may I open discussion? Who would like to give his opinion or raise a question? Yeah, please.
I would like to challenge your last remark, actually. I used to work in the nuclear industry, and I was one of the pioneers of the ethical assessment of GM crops in the 1990s, before it became a big issue. And certainly in the UK, nuclear power had a very strong support initially in the 1950s. So it's not always been the case that just because it's new, publics are against these things. So this is somewhat country and context specific, particularly on the nuclear issue. So
Still now, yes, I totally agree. But what I wanted to say, it is very difficult to bring over new technologies, and it's easy to fight that without education. So people can raise their fear without any background. And you made it maybe excellent in the UK, however in continental Europe, and especially in the German-speaking countries, you cannot even speak about nuclear power plants.
No, but I'm saying it depends on your country. In Finland, and it's a different situation again, etc. So it's not a thing you could say generically about this.
You're right.
So but could I say to you, Sonia, I hope we will continue our discussion later,
Sure.
but the slide you showed on engagement, I mean, we have now had engagement on nanotechnology for, what, 6, 7, 8 years?
You mean this one?
No, this was towards the end, when you talked about the engage.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. No, it was yes, this one. We have been engaging now for some years now, and Antje Grober, who has worked with you and
Yes.
so forth, have been doing this a long time. So what's new here? What are you doing here that has not been so far done?
Okay.
Because, I mean, we have realized that in the past, a very limited number of people we've reached. So tell us what's going to make a difference.
Okay. From my experience, what is new with a nanodiode, I've seen that there has been a lot of approach towards the public, but I think the approach towards the public was always very scientific. So people prepared scientific outputs, trying to make it not too hard to read or not too hard understandable, but presenting it in a way like nanotechnology is something good, you should trust it, but not leaving the consumer's mind behind it or the public mind behind it that they might have any fears or risks. So I feel like the things presented to the public was kind of always positive or always very, very negative, with the hint, okay, it's negative, but we're trying to resolve it. And we right now really want to get to the consumers, asking them, what do you think about nanotechnology? And then work with that. So we are asking them, okay, you've heard different things now. You've heard about risk of nanotechnologies, you have heard about positive things. You might have the fear that industry is just wanting to sell you something like personalized medicine. We don't know if it's really working, but maybe it's just an industry-driven approach that they can make more money. So we really want to get together with the public and discuss on how to clarify that we're really trying to help them and not trying to sell them anything or make everything look very beautiful. And
in the UK, we did, I was on the nanotechnology engagement group assessing the activities doing with very much that same aim. So I think it has been tried, but I think it's an ongoing thing that keeps on needing to be done. So,
yes.
I mean,
of course, there has been a lot of projects going on.
So I think it is an ongoing process
yes.
that we, because I'm not sure what the current awareness is in the public of what even is nanomedicine,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure it's quite small. So,
It's very small, yeah.
So, I mean, all power to you for doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, actually, this is an excellent talk, and I was just thinking this is exactly what we need for the personalized medicine to really bring the stakeholders together, linking education and a different, all the different levels, like from a government to the public. And what you nicely mentioned is like just because it's new, people are afraid of it. Like suddenly there is news, oh my God, in sunscreen is nanoparticles that might go into your brain and you die at 35 with a bad tumor or something. So this is something, on the other hand, where people code now nanoparticles with drugs and think of innovative means, people have to understand what is snake oil and what is really solid science, and this is not always trivial to explain. And I think it's a very excellent initiative. How long is the project phase?
It's 3 years. We started last year, so it's 2 more years to go.
Thank you for this presentation. I nevertheless have a question coming from political reality, and I would like to ask whether you see a similar situation. If I look in the European Parliament, nanotechnologies in generic terms is relatively, let's say, plus minus. But if you speak about nanotechnology in food, you have a clear opposition. If you speak about nano and waste, you have a strong opposition because people perceive, say, in breathing, they take up nanotechnologies or nanoparticles. So everything what citizens or certain parts of our population think is affecting their body is seen negative.
Yes.
The rest, depending on how it is used, maybe even very positive. Is this reflected in the exchanges you have with civil society?
Yes, it's reflected in that. Actually, I've had a look at the first results of our survey, and it's also reflecting there that people know that there's nanotechnology in sunscreen right now, even if it has been there for 30 years now, and they have heard about something with food packaging, and they're afraid of that. They would like to have more information, and they cannot really get a consensus information on whether is it good, whether is it bad. The Commission does not really give like that good of background there and really stand behind it, so they cannot really relate also on the policymakers. So I think they are very uncertain on what they should think about it, and that's why we in NanoDiode really would like to get in and clear the state and talk to them on a very, on a basic level. What can be done?
So you mean a little bit like GM is not good in food, but if it's helping a drug to be better, I accept it. That's what people say. Exactly. And the same is here, yeah.
That's why my guess is that it makes not much sense to talk about generically about nanotechnology.
Yeah.
But the target is the use of nanotechnology.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe a last question, yeah?
Yeah, so from your experience so far with this project, could you, that might be a difficult question for you actually, maybe, or for any of us. So could you explain me what's the way of thinking of a politician about nanotechnology? Because all the, it's quite difficult. Depends on the country, depends on the politician as well. Because come from Spain, and I can hardly think of any politician, speaking in public about nanotechnology or even mention nanotechnology. So from your experience, what do you think they think?
Well, that is a really, really difficult question, and I think I couldn't answer that really.
I'm sorry for that.
So I know from the Austrian government, they are very much behind us. They are saying if we are trying to get together with the public and trying to inform them, then they support us. But I mean, they are representative in our group, so if we have any events, they show up and they talk about how important it is to inform about nanotechnology and how important nanotechnologies are for future development and for future innovations. But I have not heard about really a strong opinion on whether it's how to...
Yeah, so maybe they are pretty much expecting the, from the broad public to, I don't know. So they need to be pushed, I think.
Yeah.
That's my, my feeling about it.
Yes.
Because, if they don't hear about it, they don't care.
Yeah.
So it's something like, it's one thing, we don't have to care about.
Yeah, of course.
I think it
Thanks.
has also to do, it comes back to the two statements before. It depends from the country. It depends also from which area it is, and I already experienced, at least in Switzerland, some politicians who were afraid not to be noticed, and that's why they took up some issues or they created some issues.
Yeah.
So it's a very easy one to get the attention, and then on the back of the future, they make their personal politics.
Actually are rather like the public.
Yeah, sure.
They are pronounced public,
Yeah, that's why we would like to get
Absolutely.
also to engage with the politicians to inform them also what they are even talking about if they are talking about nanotechnology.
So thank you again, Sonia, and thank you also, Michael, for your excellent contributions. And if tonight you cannot speak together as the specialty in your respective field is too special and you don't understand exactly what scientifically the others does, there are two topics you can have. That's cost and that's the contact to the public. So this is a bridging topic which is important for all of us and most probably will be the base of many discussions tonight. I wish you all a pleasant night and a good day tomorrow, and after tomorrow a good continuation with this high-ranked program. Thank you very much.